After the Celtics' disappointing loss to the New York Knicks in the second round of this year's playoffs, with Jason Tatum having an Achilles injury that will probably have him out for a year, and with the Celtics projected to be above the second apron, which has its penalties of its own, the Celtics are going to need to make some big changes, and that might start with Jaylen Brown. What is up, y'all, and welcome back to another video. And before we get into everything, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe like I always say. Helps me out so much. And before you Celtics fans get mad at me, don't worry, just hear me out, man. I'm just reporting some news I'm seeing online. And, Jaylen Brown's name has been in a lot of rumors recently, so I just want to talk about it. But yeah, let's get into it now. So at first, I started with a tweet from Legion Hoops saying, Boston is reportedly focused on trades involving Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Sam Hauser, but teams are calling about Jaylen Brown and Derek White. The quote goes, everybody but Tatum seems to be on the table, and there's an eyes emoji. So this is kind of like the beginning of everything, and it's not necessarily saying that Jaylen Brown will be traded or he's going to be on the trade block, but it's basically putting the idea that there is somewhat of a chance that Jaylen Brown could get traded, or at least, they're hearing out some offers on him. And like the tweet said, they're more focused on trying to trade Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Sam Hauser, but, since teams are offering Jaylen Brown, they're at least going to look at those offers. At least that's what the tweet is saying right now. And that leads us to our next tweet from NBA Central, saying the Celtics are willing to listen to trade offers for Jaylen Brown and Derek White. And buckle up because we have a long quote. The quote reads, are teams making big offers and calling about Jaylen Brown and Derek White? 100%. The Celtics prefer not to trade them, from my understanding. But listen, if they got a big offer, they have to look at everything. And I think they're going to get, offers on the three guys that they're focused on. They're going to get offers potentially on Derek White and Jaylen Brown. And I think between now and the draft and free agency, they're going to evaluate what makes sense from a value perspective. And so what basically this means is now they're getting more and more offers for Jaylen Brown and Derek White, and now they're actually going to look at the offers. They're basically going to hear the teams out and see what they have to offer. It's not saying that they're committed to trading Jaylen Brown and Derek White, but now there's a little bit bigger of a chance because they're hearing out teams on these players. And like I said in the intro of the video, they're going to be projected to be above the second apron, and Jaylen Brown is making a max contract, so, his money may be worth moving if you can get a lot of value back for him. Also, the second apron, when you're above the second apron, it causes restrictions on draft picks, mid-levels, all that stuff. The second apron is hell if you're above it, and the Celtics do not want to get on that, especially if their superstar star player is going to be out for the whole season. It's not worth being above the second apron if you don't really have a super high chance to win the finals next year. And now for the icing on the cake, a new tweet from Legion Hoops says, Shams Charania says, teams are throwing crazy offers at Jaylen Brown and Derek White, which is kind of insane, especially if it's coming from Shams, one of the best insiders in the whole NBA, in history, to be honest. And from this information, they don't really give us teams that Jaylen Brown can go to, so we can only speculate. But, Jaylen Brown is a great, two-way player. He can score the ball really efficiently, really well, and he can play defense at a pretty good, above average level. So any team would want Jaylen Brown. He also has championship experience. He won Finals MVP and Eastern Conference MVP. So, Jaylen Brown is very good and very valuable. We've never seen Jaylen Brown as the first option, so that could be interesting as well. Maybe teams like Houston go for him. Maybe even San Antonio. Some teams that have a lot to offer could be real contenders for Jaylen Brown. Like, just think about it. The Rockets could give up, Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith, or Tari Eason, or even Jalen Green. You throw Jalen Green in there, and then some first-round picks, that would get it done for sure. Obviously not all those players, but it could be a mixture, a combination of those players. That would get it done. And then for the Celtics, as they get Jalen Green back, they have at least someone to build with in the future. They have draft picks. Jalen Green could fit nice next to Jason Tatum as a second option or even a third option. If you really sit and think about it, it's not too crazy for the idea of Jaylen Brown being traded. It kind of does have some reason or have some, logic behind it, because Jaylen Brown is a really good player. The Celtics can get so much back for him and get some players that could help them compete for not this upcoming season, but, the season after when Jason Tatum should be fully healthy, because Jason Tatum probably won't be back to the playoffs, and that's, that's pushing it. Achilles is crazy. Normally that takes a whole year to recover, but if Jason Tatum has good training and good, physical therapists, it might be able to, have him come back by the playoffs. But the Celtics, I don't really know if they have a real chance next year. Maybe I'm tripping, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for sure. And even though this whole video is centered around Jaylen Brown, Derek White could also be the guy who gets traded here. It could not be Jaylen Brown. They could build around Jaylen Brown and just trade away Derek White. Derek White, I feel like, has way more of a variety of teams that would want to take him on because he's a role player. He's not going to cost too much. And Jaylen Brown will cost way more than Derek White, in my opinion. And, Derek White can just fit into any system as a role player. He could be a third, fourth option and still be, very elite. So I feel like, teams like the Warriors could go after Derek White. There could be a lot of different teams that Derek White could, provide value to. And I'm not trying to overlook Derek White at all in these, tweets, but I just feel like Jaylen Brown's a bigger name. He could be a bigger splash. But both of these guys could tremendously change the league if they get traded from the Celtics. But yeah, y'all, that's all I have for this video. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe like I always say. And make sure you guys let me know down below in the comments what you guys think about Jaylen Brown or Derek White being traded. I feel like, both of these guys could make a big ripple in the league. Like I just said, it could change some things up, spice some things up. And I feel like we're talking about KD, Giannis, and all those guys. But, Jaylen Brown and Derek White could be sleepers coming up in this offseason. But yeah, let me know down below what you guys think about this. And yeah, I'm out.